Eyewear as a product exists, for me, in an in-between space. The space where function meets fashion, where perception meets self-expression. And with Aperçu, the focus is about working within another space that can be challenging at times, but also really magical. The space of partnership, the place where creative forces come together and we hopefully bring something useful and beautiful into the world.
Welcome to a Life Creative Podcast. I'm Melania Gomez.
And I'm Marcy McGoldrick. This is the podcast where we share stories, support, and advice for the creative community while they navigate their careers.
Whether you're running a business, pursuing a passion, or just trying to connect with other creators, we're here to bring you practical tips, insights from experts, and a little inspiration.
Our guest today is Kristen Aronsson, founder and creative director of Aperçu, a direct-to-consumer eyewear brand that blends fashion, function, and strategy. Over the past 15 years, Kristen has built a career at the intersection of design and utility, with a focus on eyewear. She's designed for brands like Kata, Seven for All Mankind, Stephen Allen, and Alice and Olivia before launching Aperçu. Her work is rooted in problem-solving within constraints, something she sees as central to great design. At Aperçu, she leads everything from product design to marketing, shaping the brand's voice and vision in a fast-paced, trend-driven industry. In this conversation, we'll talk about what drew her to eyewear, how she built her brand from the ground up, and how she stays creative and focused in a constantly evolving market. We're excited to have her on A Life Creative.
Kristen, welcome. I'm meeting you for the first time. And so are you from the East Coast or the West Coast?
Well, it's interesting you should ask that. I kind of feel like both because I was born in Marblehead, Massachusetts. But when I was 7, we moved to Tucson, Arizona.
What brought you there?
My father wanted to start his own business. He was a sailor and worked in yacht broker / sailor.
Like nautical.
/ sailmaking. And he took that knowledge of sort of sailmaking and his engineering expertise and started an awning company in Arizona. So away from the water.
That's amazing.
No more water, desert.
Yeah.
And working with fabrics and canvas and building.
And you were only 7, so it seems like you're primarily you're from Tucson.
That was I think that's where I did most of my growing up.
Yeah.
Yes. But I still feel a deep tie to the East Coast and certainly the ocean.
Yeah.
Because Marblehead is on the ocean. So a little bit of both.
And then you studied art history at Cornell, similar to me, because Kristen is one of my good friends. They've known each other for almost 30 years.
Great friends.
Is it 30 years?
God,
Something like
I don't
that.
know,
It's
but a long time.
We both started at Pratt together, and the first day we had every single class together.
We did.
And we both realized that we both studied art history together.
Yeah, in undergrad.
At different schools.
Yep. And went to London after.
That's right.
Both of you went to London as well.
We both did the same program, this BUNAC program, where you could, after graduating, you could get a visa to work for 6 months, and we both were.
But did not know each other.
But didn't
at the
know each
time.
other at all. Right.
Marcy
So you studied art history, and then what did you kind of?
I actually started out as a bio major.
Oh, okay.
Interestingly enough, and got weeded out quickly at Cornell.
Were you interested in that, or was it?
I did. I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Oh, you did. The influence of your dad, maybe? No.
I don't know.
Sailor?
I did like a marine biology program when I was in between junior high and high school, and I just have always loved the ocean. Wanted to get involved. Loved nature. Loved biology. Thought I was good at it, and then figured out quickly that I wasn't.
Yeah.
At Cornell, they were weeding out people, really, for the pre-med program, and it kind of was like, okay, this is harder than I thought. Let me explore a different part of myself, which a liberal arts degree lets you do, which was great. And art history became my passion. It was just a really great way to learn about. I loved art, and I was able to kind of experiment with some art classes on the side, and just kind of learn how to write, basically, was what you learned how to do,
true.
right?
You would do a lot of writing.
Yeah, which I loved.
Did you have to do a thesis?
I did not.
You didn't?
No.
So how did you discover both? I know how you discovered industrial design. So was that an elective class, or did you, how did you get into that?
I moved to New York after London and just got a random job at this little agency and was temping and things like that, and not happy. Also taking figure drawing classes at Cooper Union.
Oh, that's nice.
In the old building.
That's great.
It was so beautiful.
Is there any prerequisite for that, to take those classes? No.
Figure drawing? No.
Yeah, no. It was like a...
not back then.
Yeah.
I think it was just open to the public.
Oh, nice.
But, trying to get in touch with my inner, I didn't know if I was an artist or what, but I knew there was something that I wanted to express creatively, but I couldn't figure out what it was. So, doing some classes here and there, and then looking at art schools, trying to figure out if there was a program that was right for me. And I actually applied to Pratt for the art education program first, thinking that I wanted to be an art teacher. Yeah. Which I still do, and hopefully will.
What
day.
level do you think you'd want to, if you...
At that time, I wanted to teach younger kids, grade school kids.
Yeah.
But now I'm having fantasies of teaching high school someday. But anyway, we'll get to that. So got accepted to the art education program and was about to attend, and then somehow was looking through the brochure or the course selection and said, what is ID? What does industrial design even mean? And it just completely fascinated me. And I think because my dad, he's a maker. I mean, they literally started with the awnings like in our garage. My mom was sewing them and my dad was designing them. So I have that kind of background, and I knew I wanted to make things, and I've always made clothes and, things as a child. But I didn't know that it was something you could do for a living until I learned about ID, and I switched last minute right before, I think it was August, before we started in the fall, to the industrial design program. Yeah.
And that's where the two of you met.
That's where we met. And we had every class together from like the first day.
Yep.
Pratt had an amazing 3D program that you did all these different
Which was new, right? It was new for the time?
No, it was like they had that since like the very beginning of like from like the 40s or 50s.
That's kind of what they're known for. It's really this like philosophical foundation piece that they give to all of their students, no matter what track you're on.
Yeah, and it's very abstract. It's not like you're like visual. It's basically learning how to see things and how to make decisions and change them and evaluate them and change them again.
That was really meaningful for me. I mean,
I feel like that was the best thing. I feel like, other than meeting you guys,
of course,
was getting the 3D
Pratt crowd. Yeah, it was really powerful. And for me, coming from art history and knowing that I had this like something creative inside of me, but it wasn't fine art. I wasn't a painter or an illustrator. I knew or sculptor. I wasn't a fine artist, but I knew I wanted to do something, and I really found my calling there, especially in the wood shop.
Yeah,
Working with wood was something that really brought me those moments of like bliss.
And to your thesis.
And to my thesis at Pratt, it was focused on footwear and shoes.
And what was where did that come from?
I was thinking about this, and I think it actually innately came from my ancestors. My great-grandfather came over from Sweden on the one side, and he was a cobbler. I learned this later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after Pratt and after everything, but somehow... Also, I'm interested in fashion. I've always loved fashion, collecting vintage shoes. Shoes have always been so powerful, and how they change how you walk, how you move, as a woman, as a man, as whoever you are. It's like it really defines how you move through space, and I thought that was fascinating. And for me, that sort of like place where fashion and function come together was where I was heading at Pratt. And so the Swedish piece, I guess, influenced the wooden shoes and clogs. And that's where I kind of focused with my thesis, was on wooden shoes. For my thesis, I chose to focus on wooden footwear made out of wood, whether it was laminated or solid wood, and kind of digging into the history of clogs and even like Dr. Scholl's in the 70s that were supposed to be really good for your feet, right? And like, is it good for your feet?
They were supposed to exercise your
right?
feet.
So kind of grip with your toes and exercise your feet. So I got a little bit into the...
But you were also very interested in fashion as well. So I feel like you were trying to modernize, and that was kind of an influence at Pratt too, is everything, you wanted to make it more modern.
Yes, sort of like, what's the new Dr. Scholl's going to be, and is it actually going to be good for your feet?
Yeah.
And it was just an exploration of footwear through the lens of wood.
And a long time ago, I went to this sort of colonial Williamsburg in Holland, and they had exhibits of wooden shoes, and I didn't know that there was a liner that you wear, with the wooden shoe. So I just thought
the wooden shoe was like on top of your other. That was like when you went outside, you put on the wooden ones, and then you come in and have your felt or leather or whatever they're made of.
So after that, did you get a full-time job?
I did. After Pratt, I started at an architecture firm, which.
Was it a natural progression for an ID person to...
It was, yeah. I mean, furniture is really what everyone wants to work on, right?
Yeah.
And I was a little bit into furniture, but it was called Rogers Marvel Architects, and it was just an amazing experience because I was put in charge of the material library. So I was working on furniture and fixtures, but also was kind of handling and managing this material library, which was just like a dream. This whole room full of like all the craziest materials and from interiors, and it really got me interested in materials.
Was it like an internal shop that sort of produced these things?
They had an
Oh, that's
internal
amazing.
model shop, and then these were the materials that the architects would spec, right, for each
Like a materials library.
Yeah,
Okay.
the library. So they would spec it out and have their
Prototype
Like
made.
the
What do you
board.
call
No,
that?
the
Like a
boards.
board,
Like the,
yes.
they're basically
Yeah.
like
Yes.
mood boards, but it's like
Right, a 3D.
with all the pieces. Yes,
version.
a 3D version. Now it's all digital,
Yeah.
right?
For displays and things like that?
To
You know, like
present
who
to
would
the clients,
okay.
yeah, to bring to the client meetings, and yeah, for any type of display. So I loved it, and I
Yeah.
loved working with. There was just all amazing architects, most of them from Columbia, and I learned so much there about attention to detail in a way that I hadn't learned at Pratt. Also on the job, right?
Yeah.
When you really have something and it has to be done right, and architects are super, super
Meticulous.
perfectionistic,
Yeah.
right?
And
using
you did fixtures for Kate Spade.
yes,
Which is
yes, that was one of our clients.
Is that sort of, you get this client of Kate Spade and you have to learn their vocab. We've talked about this before about learning the brand's vocabulary, and you have to design something that would fit within their language.
Well, and they had a very specific language. One
Okay.
thing Kate Spade was really great at was really defining her brand and
Yeah.
exactly what it was, what it wasn't. That
What
was
you
really
do, what you
That was
don't.
actually my first experience of really seeing a full brand book,
Yeah.
right? Like a brand guidelines book of here's what you do, here's the fonts you use, and this is how we represent our brand. And it was fascinating, and to be able to design fixtures that would go into their stores or go into their
Yeah.
shop in shops. And one really special memory I have was later in my career when I was traveling in Japan. I was in Ginza and went into a Kate Spade shop, and one of my fixtures was in there.
Oh,
and
I
it was
love
like
that.
this little library. It almost looked like a library for the journals. That she was really famous for her journals in the beginning, as well as the handbags. But it was just cool to see it in real life, halfway across the world.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, my
take a
first
picture?
job. Oh, I did. My first job out of grad school. Yeah.
And then you also got the opportunity to work on a product line with them.
Yes. Yep. They were launching an in-house product company called Truck Product Architecture, which was very cool. And it was all about materials and using materials in innovative ways for tabletop and furniture. So
What kind
I
of
was
materials
helping
were
out.
they? Were they like materials that were new to the market or something like
There
a
was a
special
material
wood? Or?
called bonded leather, which had not been used in furniture,
Yeah.
as of yet.
Yeah.
So we were working with that and using it for trays and tables and different things. And then also powder coating, like different manufacturing techniques.
I love
And
powder
laser
coating.
cutting
Yeah.
glass. Yeah, powder coating was kind of new-ish
Yeah.
in the furniture scene. So working with powder coated plywood, laser cutting, water laser, what is it? Water cutting? Sorry, water cutting glass and laser cutting metal
Wow.
for different tabletop pieces. So it was a real introduction into,
How big are those
manufacturing
machines?
methods.
Are they?
They're big.
Yeah.
And that was my job, was to kind of go around New York and Brooklyn sourcing local, suppliers who could help us make samples and or
that.
production. So it was very cool to also be on the ground, seeing all the machines going to the factories.
Yeah.
That was really great.
Well, when you entered eyewear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then was that in your sort of realm? Were you just curious because of the fashion aspect of it?
Yes.
That was it just a natural
It wasn't
thing that you
natural.
loved?
I
Because
was
it's too
not-
exciting. It's like shoes and eyewear. It's kind of.
You would think it would be natural, but
Yeah.
I've never worn glasses. I've never liked sunglasses personally because I don't think they look good on me.
Okay.
So eyewear was not really something that I was passionate about personally in my own,
Yeah.
aesthetic. But I had done a little bit of freelance sketching for Marchand
Mm-hmm.
at Pratt. It was sort of one of those professional connections that they had. And they
Explain Marchand to our.
Marchand is not unlike Luxottica. It's
Uh-huh.
one of the larger, based in Italy and the U.S. Eyewear companies that has been around for a long time. I don't exactly know how long, but
And they have their own brand and do licensing.
they
as
do
well?
a lot of licensing.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I think they have their own brand, but mostly licensing.
So was that in one of the studio classes at Pratt that you did
I don't even remember.
Okay.
I think it was maybe through transportation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they were always looking for kind of new ideas, fresh ideas, so they would tap into the student student populations at Pratt or at Parsons and hire, students to do some just ideation sketching and just come up with new ideas. So I had that in my portfolio. After the architecture firm, I realized the reason I ended up leaving was because the scale and the time it took to make and finish these projects was just too long for me. Like, I'm a little bit
You never saw the end product.
Yeah. The furniture and fixtures we did, but the larger architectural projects, like, I just couldn't wait for them to be finished. And it wasn't my scale, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was too big. There were too many details, and I wanted something that I could get my head around a little bit more. So I went to a headhunter, get my head around it.
We
go to
talked
a
about this
headhunter.
in our earlier conversation,
Yeah.
and I completely forgot about headhunters that I actually used one as well. And
It
right
used
out
to
of
be a
school,
Yeah.
you were given the 2 names that are still around, and you went with your portfolio, and they reviewed it and picked it apart.
Oh, yeah.
and said,
It
these are
was
the
a
jobs
bit
that are available.
intimidating.
Take this out, put that in, whatever. You need more of this. And I'm amazed. That's amazing. So you went to a headhunter.
Just because I didn't know what the next step was. I wasn't going to go back and become an architect.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't really happy, just working on the fixtures and the accoutrement,
Yeah.
right, of the architect's projects. So they found this opportunity in Eyewear, and I had to, really compete. I had to do a lot of work pro bono up front and a lot of interviews.
Like tests.
Because like tests, and I knew I was up against a few other people for this job at a small family-owned company called B. Robinson. But the brand was a larger brand that they had purchased called Kata, Kata. And it was started by a super talented designer named Blake Kurohawa, and he, just created this really, really beautiful Japanese-inspired brand that was really pushing the boundaries of design. And then B. Robinson acquired it, and then Blake left.
Oh my gosh.
So they were trying to fill, the creative director's shoes and find the right person to kind of continue the brand on in its new incarnation, if you will.
And
so it was me, and it was like, oh my God, what? Like, I've never done eyewear before. I'm following in these giant footsteps. And it was scary, but it was just an amazing opportunity to be able to.
So you got to learn about the whole process of manufacturing.
Oh, I learned eyewear from the ground up.
And
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. What are the is it drawing and?
Back then I was sketching.
Yeah.
Not so much sketching anymore, but back then it was paper, putting
tracing
and tracing and coming up with new designs and new concepts, and working with the factories. This was the coolest part of the opportunity, was going to Japan, working with these factories, sitting around with all the technicians and the translators, and like trying to understand how the machines worked so that I could come up with designs that were actually pushing sort of the manufacturing techniques themselves and trying to come up with new forms.
And they would tell you that's not possible, or
right.
this
And I would be like,
material.
okay, well, what if we tried it this way?
Right.
And then they would be like, well, oh, hey, we could try it this way. So we were really having this like meeting of the minds in like different languages and like trying to find ways to create these forms that had never been created before.
And are those designed seasonally, for collections or for?
Yes.
How many per season?
It depends on the eyewear company, but
Yeah.
because Kata was just one brand and we were quite focused, and we worked on the typical cycle, which is fall and spring.
Okay.
And now it's 4 times a year. There's, a summer and a winter as well. But typically for eyewear, it was just fall and spring around the large trade shows.
You were using a computer-aided.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. From the sketch, then scan the sketch.
Scan the sketch. Yeah.
Do it that way.
Trace it.
Sometimes back and forth.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I feel like was taken away, the scanning of the sketch.
Right.
Because people just sketch on an iPad and then it's a digital file.
Yeah. I haven't sketched anything in years.
Yeah.
Honestly. Unfortunately.
Do you draw in Illustrator?
Yes. I do now.
Wow.
This is a great moment to take a short break. So we've had about 15 episodes. We're 15 episodes in.
Yeah.
And we're kind of thinking we're going to try something new, and we want to ask the audience for a little help with it. So we want to ask them if they can send us some questions. We want to address things. If there's things you want us to address that you're curious about, or even with particular guests that you found that you have more information you were looking for, or just ideas that you think would be fun for the show, I think it'd be great to ask our listeners. Send us some questions.
Yeah,
you can get to us through
I'd love that.
our website, www.alifecreativepod.com. Or if you want, you can send us a DM through Instagram.
Did that position? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Did that position help you sort of learn quality of eyewear and the materials of eyewear
Absolutely.
and what separates something that's at a pharmacy in comparison to that stuff? Was that a huge learning curve?
Absolutely. And I was lucky enough to come into this very high-end brand. It was,
Right.
Quite expensive luxury quality and design that was made in Japan, which is, again, the top-notch manufacturers. So I kind of got to do the top-down education of what makes, the acetate so strong and not breakable, and what makes these certain metals better than other metals, and literally these different manufacturing processes, whether you press it or whether you cut it, how many hours you tumble it for in the tumbler to polish it. Like, there's so many steps along the way.
Yeah.
I think what people really don't know about eyewear is how many steps there are
To actually making one.
to make it. I mean, nowadays Warby Parker has, people have videos, they show
Yeah.
the factories, people are open about manufacturing in China
Yeah.
and all of that. So people have seen a little bit more behind the scenes, but until you go and see in person how many steps there are, how many different materials are involved, even just the hinges, and they have to get those from a different source, and how many people actually touch the frame.
To the finished product.
Yes. Even with all the machines that are used, it's still very manual at the end of the day.
Really?
Yes.
The polishing,
Yes.
Okay. The
Everything.
lenses.
CNC machines cut it, but all the polishing and the finishing at the ends and all the packing and there's so many things. The lenses, putting them in, it's all manual.
And you were talking about tumbler too, which is actually literally, it's interesting. There's usually like some kind of, I use one for jewelry.
Yeah,
and it's,
same idea.
You put media in a container
Like
and
a little
it
rock
spins
tumbler.
around and
Yeah.
it
What's the
softens.
media?
I mean, it can be anything.
It's
Like
wood.
I
It
use,
depends
yeah.
on what kind of wood.
Yeah.
So what kind of polish do you want? Do you want it to be, this level of shiny? Then you use acacia wood. If you want it to be this level of shiny, then you put
I didn't
walnut
know. I didn't
with
know it was
like a little bit
polished
of
by
wax.
wood
It's a whole
pulp or just
formula.
sawdust or.
No, it's chips of it.
Chips of
yeah.
it.
Wood.
And the size of the particles also help dictate. Like with I use steel shot, so it's like little balls
Like
and
gunshot?
little pins. They look like
Like
BBs.
buckshot.
They look
Oh.
like BBs. So they go in the tumbler with a little bit of water. Mine, that's what mine are. But it's a little bit of water and a little bit of dish soap, and it spins around for a couple hours, and it's smooth and polished when you take them out. I still need to further polish them,
Right.
which they
No,
probably
and that's
need
what
to
I'm
be
saying.
too.
Like
Yeah.
every
But those
pair
are the
of
pieces
frames,
of the eyewear. Just understand, it's they're not assembled yet with the hinges.
There's no lenses.
No,
No,
I can't see through these.
these are a little cloudy.
They're a little powder cut.
No, just the component parts.
Oh my gosh.
Trust me, they look fabulous on you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about sizing too, because in eyewear, the importance of your face shape and all that. Okay.
So you only really have this
Yeah.
like tiny canvas, I always call it, of this frame. And the formula is that you, depending on the brand, of course, some brands do multiple sizes.
Yeah.
But even at Kata, we only had one size
Okay.
for each frame. So whether it's optical or sun, you want it to try to fit as many people as you can, of course, with diverse.
And that dictates the design, obviously.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you want the nose pads to be as adjustable as possible so that it could fit any type of bridge.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, you can't fit everyone with one frame. So
We suggest contacts.
No, she doesn't.
yeah, no contacts, please. but if you have contacts, you can still wear a frame.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
fashion.
Yeah.
And I should say that my love of frames has grown a lot more the older I get, and now that I actually need reading glasses
Yeah.
and computer glasses.
And that happens overnight.
And
Yeah.
progressive
That literally happens
glasses.
overnight.
Yeah.
Yes, like I really do need them. And
Yeah.
so my appreciation for the optical side has come full circle.
Yeah.
But anyway, the sizing, it is, it's a bit of a science, but it's also like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like,
And the adjustment
it's
comes
gonna
when
be.
when the customer buys it, and then it can get adjusted.
yes,
Because
the opticians can obviously adjust it accordingly, like to fit behind your ears so it
Yeah.
won't fall down, to fit your bridge so it won't slide down. But they can't obviously change the size of
width of it.
and that
width of the
crazy
frame.
heat gun that the heat
Oh, for the
thing,
acetate,
and
yes,
then
the
they're
beads.
bending it in front of you. You're like, is that right? And
That
then-
is a real science, actually. and
Really?
We're working on that in our warehouse now with my current company, because it's really hard to pop out the lenses from a handmade acetate frame
Okay.
And it's a real art form because you can break them, you can break the frame, you can cut your fingers. Like, it's a whole thing.
But you guys do some, not to skip ahead to those, but you do some social media tutorials sometimes about how to actually use hot water which I thought was a great tip.
It's
too.
to pop them
true.
out?
It's
No,
true.
if your frame, sometimes your frames get a little bit stretched out.
Handmade acetate, it is made in sheets.
Okay.
So it comes flat, and then when you bend it to fit your face, over time it can sometimes stretch out, and that's normal. But if you don't have that crazy bead thing that you were describing,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
a real heat gun, you can actually use like a bowl of hot water or a hair dryer. Carefully is what we recommend.
Well,
to
and not
heat it, you
touch
wanna
them, they
heat
just
it
kind
just
of like
enough.
You kind of can bend them a little bit, angle them a little. I just was like holding them, and then you kind of
Yes,
let them
firm,
until it
direct
gets a little
pressure.
cool off,
Okay.
and then they.
But once it cools, the material cellulose acetate, which is made from wood pulp. So some people say it's organic, but it's not because it has polymers in it and it's a plastic.
they make it. Yeah.
But it is from an organic source of,
Yeah.
of wood pulp. It was developed for the eyewear industry, among other things, but because of its adjustability and its beautiful array of colors, like you can get so many patterns and colors and tortoises and striations, and it's really amazing
Are
material.
frames interchangeable? I always thought way back when sunglasses were sunglasses, and these are the silhouettes they come in, and then these are readers.
Right.
These are clear over here. What we grew up with, and then all of a sudden, when really fashion eyewear started, and all of a sudden this is available to be a sunglasses.
Of course,
as
you can
well.
put any lens you
Has
want.
that always been, or is that kind of a
Traditionally, optical were smaller, right? It was always like you want your optical to be fitting your face, and it does have to fit your pupil distance. Like your prescription has to fit your pupil distance, or it won't work properly. So there's that piece. But now that larger frames are in fashion, and personally, I think it's great because I like a larger frame on my face. Of course, you can interchange. It's just going to have a larger profile
area.
Yeah, width sort of on your face, but yeah.
So after B. Robinson, what was next?
After B. Robinson, then I started into my world of kind of licensing. I worked as the creative director at Moto Eyewear, another eyewear company. Also did some consulting for Marchand and other eyewear companies along the way, some brand strategy consulting. Oh, I should say I had a quick stint at Lippincott Mercer,
okay?
this was actually before B. Robinson, sorry.
That's okay.
Didn't fit that in. A brand strategy consulting firm with a very sort of well-known and well-respected protocol for how they help their mostly corporate clients. And I, though I didn't love the corporate atmosphere at Lippincott, I did learn a lot about how they approached working with their clients. So that was really kind of what gave me the door in to the Kata job, because they knew that I had this sort of like brand perspective that I could bring to the brand and take it to a different place than what it was before. So then I used that to kind of start working with licenses. And with a license, it's challenging because you're working with a designer. Most of, whether we worked at Moto, we worked with Jason Wu, who was amazing, Derek Lam, whether it's an independent designer or like a larger brand like Seven for All Mankind was another license that we had there.
Do they come to you with, what they're looking at if they don't know? Or did they leave it to you to say?
The designers knew what they wanted.
Okay.
I mean, like Jason and Derek were like, this is what I want. And we were like, got it.
Right.
And, I would try to add a
give
few
them
things along
variations.
the way, and we would work together. So that was really inspiring. But like a Seven for All Mankind, the larger brands, they didn't know what they wanted. We would come with inspiration and come and make a proposal of what we thought their collection could look like. So that was a really interesting time of learning how to work with other creatives, if you will, or other brands, and kind
Like
of
designing into someone else's.
designing into their vision,
Right.
but also trying to make sure that it was going to be commercially viable, and because the company who's like Moto was taking the risk, like we would
Right,
buy.
because actually we should set license. That's how licensing was set up.
Yes.
So
Yes, the license is the sort of traditional way that people can get into eyewear without doing it themselves.
Just to test it out. Yeah. And is it full prototypes that you present to them?
Yes, full color samples with the lenses. Yeah, and the other thing people don't know about eyewear is it takes a long time
To actually make a
it.
prototype?
More than any other fashion category. Yes,
because of tooling and all that
because
sort
of
of
the tooling, because of the materials, even just like the handmade acetate, If you're using Italian acetate, which is sort of the heritage, best quality, it's literally handmade, in Italy. So everything takes longer than you would expect, like longer than a handbag, longer than shoes, and of course, ready to wear, or even jewelry. I think it's.
And what
it's
happens
long.
with the revision? Say this client, you presented, 5, and they're just, I love this one, but I wish this could.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing, right? I mean,
It's tough because every revision takes a long time,
long time to
right?
do
So
it.
you really try to hedge your bets and like oversample to make sure that you hit on enough pieces that are going to be
That's
the
interesting.
winners, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of explain, we can still tweak it a little bit for production, but you can't, change it too much. Like you try to keep it to 2 rounds of revisions, or else you're just never going to hit your launch date. When they come to a company like a Moto or a B. Robinson, we are the eyewear experts. We know how to do eyewear.
Yeah.
We'll make sure you get a beautiful eyewear collection. All you have to do is give us your inspiration.
Yeah. Do designers do one-of-a-kinds?
They do, of course. And for
Really?
the runway.
For runway.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that was also really
Was
fun.
that really fun?
Part. Yeah, getting to work with people just for their runway styles. Yeah. I got to work with Rodarte at one point. That was the highlight because they're so cool. But yeah, they'll do a one-off runway piece and it never gets produced.
But
Because
it will
it's-
be sold, or it's just part of their collection?
Nope, just part of the runway.
Wow.
And sometimes if people have,
If
have
they see
interest,
best
Yeah.
interest,
they'll make a few pieces that are expensive, but for the most part, it doesn't even go into production.
Moto was in Soho?
Yes.
In
in
Soho.
Soho. Uh-huh.
And then after Moto, did you?
That was when I did some consulting and,
Okay.
I got into some teaching at FIT,
that's
which
right,
was
yeah.
awesome. I had been taking some shoemaking classes and jewelry classes just after work
Yeah.
to feed my own creative endeavors, and started doing some teaching there in the accessories design department, which was really fun, mostly with leather.
Uh-huh.
Another material that I love is leather, not only from the shoes, but the handbag side. So teaching, leather working 101 class where we made everything by hand. And
How
no
many kids
machines.
are normally in these classes?
These were it was undergrad. There were like 25 kids. And we everything by hand because we didn't have
By hand.
machines in this class, which was actually even cooler to help each student kind of figure out their vision of what they wanted to create
Yeah.
and help them figure out how to make the pattern. Again,
Assembly.
starting from scratch with
Yeah.
every single project. Yeah, how are we going to assemble it? How are we going to lace it together? It was, really, really fun. And I hope to get back to that at some point.
Oh, and you did even your own handbag line too.
I did. I had my
Did
own
you just feel like
handbags.
you wanted to do something that was your own thing? A line that, okay.
Oh yeah, I mean that's always been a drive for sure. And I did, handbags were a big functional item that I couldn't find the bag I wanted. Right?
Yeah.
I wanted it this way. I wanted it that way. So did find a manufacturer in Manhattan and had them made, and had a few good years. Some
Well, what was,
distribution.
back then, what was the retail outlet for a designer who said, I want to start a line? What would you go
Well,
online?
Marcy
this
and
a story?
we're kind of in this together.
Yes.
How do you describe it? We started at the markets.
At the markets, we would do in Brooklyn at the time. It was like the beginning
It
of
was
all
the
of the
beginning.
markets.
Like Brooklyn Flea?
Like
or?
it was kind
Renegade
of
Craft
Renegade Craft
Fair.
Fair, Brooklyn Flea. Like you would do all these different markets, and it was
exciting.
It was exciting.
new.
It was super
like a
fun.
whole new
We would
thing.
do them in people's apartments.
Yeah, we'd just get together at Christmas and we rented out the Matchless
Yes,
bar
yeah.
in Williamsburg one year.
Yeah.
Just our group of all of our
Our
sort
friends were all
Yeah.
making things, so we all would
Maker
get
friends.
together and we would either figure out like if there was sales someone heard about, we would all apply and do them together. So it was probably like maybe a handful, like 10 or 12 a year, not that.
It was
many.
like truly Renegade back then.
Yeah.
Was
just did our own-
online
yeah,
on the
it's true.
interwebs the thing yet? No.
Not
Etsy?
really, no.
It was
No.
just starting.
You know what? There was no like Squarespace or anything like that where you could actually make your
Yeah.
own website. You needed to either know somebody who could make a website
I
for
had
you.
to pay
Or
a
pay
friend of a
cash.
friend.
Right.
To pay. I paid him
Yeah.
cash to build my website back in the day.
In Java.
It was like, yes, it was Java.
Yeah.
Yes.
HTML. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. We are dating ourselves. But yeah.
So, and then how long did you guys do that for?
I mean, we all did it for
Years.
years.
Oh, you did?
Like
many years.
15 years, something like that or more. Just it was, and we also would all get together and meet and talk about each other's projects. And I think it was that
was a
whole thing.
special
Like
time.
I had a full time job. You were always working. Everyone was always kind of working and doing this thing on the side. And that
That
we
was
all
our
got,
creative outlet.
Yeah.
For all those years. It was
It was super fun.
really, it was a really cool time.
So you were doing the handbag line, and then
Shane Powers knew a friend in Australia who knew a friend who was in an eyewear company in Brooklyn who was looking for some design help. And so I started consulting with them, and it was a company called Classic Specs out of Williamsburg, sort of born as a competitor to Warby in a sense, e-com only.
E-com only.
To start. And then they sort of had shop-in-shops.
Yeah.
Like within the Brooklyn Denim Company, they had a little
But
shop-in-shop.
a sort of a showroom thing. Like you can try them on and then order.
Like a little stand. You know,
Yeah.
we designed these little kind of like...
Kiosk.
Kiosk. Yeah, a kiosk, if you will.
and there was one to Stephen Allen too, right?
Yes,
Like,
and then
yeah.
Stephen Allen became the big sort of partnership that kind of put the larger company on the map. So Classic Specs was continuing, and then Stephen Allen was signed, and that really went very well. Stephen Allen had stores all over New York at that time. So I was hired as the creative director to design all of these glasses and to build a team. And this was the first introduction to startup world. So the way I sort of look at it was like I got to be a designer of like one brand, really focused, like materials and forms. And then I got to experience licensing and branding and sort of how to work together with, you know, other partners, other creative partners. And then this was moving into the startup world, still doing the licensing, but with a whole different sort of goal, which was just extreme growth. They wanted to grow quickly. And yeah, it was happening quick. It was exciting. We built out an office and a team, and we're signing licenses.
So not only does the product have to get done quickly, the rest of it to get it out to market has to be done very
everything
quickly.
was like on fast forward.
And that was kind of your first foray into management too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I had a team at Moto, but this was like starting from scratch and building it out. And yeah, with a focus on trying to make things happen quickly.
What were you looking for
it was
in
fun.
a young person that was joining your team? Was it you know, since you have this background of just like you did a lot of different things, now you're hiring somebody for your team. Do you look for the traditional things, or are you looking for just that spark that I think this person could work? Or I
mean, I always recruited from art schools.
Yeah.
So I always went back to Pratt. One of the first people I hired at Moto was from Pratt.
Yeah.
ID program. Yeah, I look for people with sort of multidisciplinary backgrounds.
Yeah, you wanted
not,
that base.
Not just eyewear necessarily. Yeah. But also like Central St. Martin's. We hired someone from there who was incredible. And just, they just have to have a passion for product.
Correct.
It doesn't have to be eyewear.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that was not... And FIT is always a great resource as well. Well, after that, out of that sort of wild ride of a startup, there was a very young founder. He had really big ambitions, and it was going great for a while. And then it was a bit of a roller coaster until it
Was
wasn't.
it like a tech office where
It was tech,
like
yes.
big, open?
Yes. And the thing that I did learn there that was really important was just how to not only move fast, but like don't make the stakes so high on every single thing. Even though the stakes were high because we were trying to grow, you just had to kind of push ahead and just get it out there and like, you know,
See what happens.
keep going.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting approach. The traditional eyewear companies had never had that sort of
Oh, really? They just sort of had
approach.
time to...
Yeah,
for
it was much
development and all
slower. I mean,
It was on
just-
its own schedule
It was on
as
its own
opposed to- yeah.
eyewear schedule, and this was like just a completely different trajectory schedule.
It was like a disruptor, so it was trying to
Exactly.
yeah.
They wanted to disrupt and start this new model of licensing, right? So anyway, when that ended up finishing, out of that came the opportunity that I'm now working on, which was to start a brand from scratch and as a founder myself. So it was an awesome opportunity to start a new brand.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been working on for the last 6 years. The name Aperçu is the name of the company, and it comes from the French verb apercevoir, to perceive. And yes, I did come up with the name. My husband helped me. Give him a little credit where credit is due. That conjugation of the verb actually means sort of a quick flash of insight or a quick look or a quick glance. And so it felt like really the right name for this company because we wanted the company to be about partnership and about creators coming together. And, you know, we kind of knew, again, I'm the founder, but it was a team effort from the beginning. I have a team, amazing team that's helping me now. We knew it had to be an e-com company because we only had so much money. So
With
you want to start
no
e-com.
brick and mortar presence at all.
Correct. Like no brick and mortar. Whereas Classic Specs had tried to get into brick and mortar. There were some Stephen Allen stores. Like they had expanded into brick and mortar, maybe a little too quickly. So we decided let's keep it small, keep it tight, keep it e-com only. So these last 6 years have been my first experience running a company, building a brand, learning about e-commerce, which I didn't know about. I was really on the design side only previously, and just really learning about digital marketing, which is obviously, if you're an e-com brand, that's how you sell your product in this new bold world, brave world that we live in. So that was a big learning curve for me because I wasn't even on Instagram before. Really, by choice, because I was like, no.
I was very resistant.
I was a little resistant,
I was
late. I'm a little bit of a Luddite back in the day. And didn't get the first cell phone. And
did you know your demographic going into it? Did you know who you had to design for? As far as
I got to decide if it was going to be female, if it was going to be male focused, if it was going to be both, and we decided because of the marketing piece and because of these influencers that were it was kind of the heyday of the influencer at that moment. And influencer commerce was just becoming a bit of a thing where they're actually not just wearing the product from Chanel or whatever, but they're actually selling it too, and trying to really be a true marketer. And what does that mean? How do we tap into these influencers who are so inspirational, actually? I mean, I was scared to get into Instagram because I didn't know what I would find. And what it was like a whole new world, right? But what I did find was it's really inspirational, at its best. Of course, there's at its worst. But at its best, it's just a constant source of inspiration. And people who are working really hard to build their own brand, right? And to build their own identity and their own income and their own thing. And it's really these entrepreneurs in a whole new way.
And it is that whole thing. Maybe Marcy and I have talked about this, is that there's good and bad in everything, And I am brutal at editing my feed. I don't want to see what I don't want to see. I want to see what I do want to see. So I block what I don't like, things that repeat. I curate my own feed because I feel like that's the only way you're going to get things that you want to see and that you're interested in, because they're just going to feed you whatever, And I think that's really...
Got to be careful.
Yeah. But I think you got to pick everybody that you picked all your partners yourself.
Yes.
And you went specifically for people that were diverse and different and had interesting fashion sensibilities that weren't necessarily yours even.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I wanted to create, is a brand that shows everyone's unique perspective. And it's really about finding your own personal style, right? Finding your own voice and your own aesthetic. And that can also evolve. That's sort of like where we're going now. As we start to evolve the brand, it's also about, you don't have just one pair of eyewear that you wear every single day. You might have like your one defining piece that kind of feels like you, but you also want to have options for when you're feeling a different way, or when you want to have a different look, or when you want to, go out at night and still see the menu or whatever. If you need your reading glasses. But like, it's really about, for me now with eyewear, because I've been doing it for so long, obviously it's still about the product, but it's so fascinating to be building a brand that is hopefully about more and about partnering with creators. We actually partner with them and design the eyewear that they want to design.
Okay.
So it's a kind of a new licensing thing where we do have an agreement and they help us, co-market, if you will.
Yeah.
But we handpick, the people that we admire, the people who inspire us, who we think have a unique vision, and, do you want to make your dream glasses and help us sell them? And so that's what we do.
Are the trends in, when you have licensing like this, is the fashion of the frame cyclical? Does it come back? Or, are you finding a younger audience, they're liking older silhouettes or vintage or 70s or does it you've seen it all. I mean, you basically,
I would say yes, obviously fashion is cyclical. It definitely comes around again. It's 1 year it's small profile, then it's large, then it's gradient lenses, then it's mirrored lenses, then it's there's only so many
variables,
permutations that you have. So yes, it's definitely comes around. But again, with the rise of social media and the world that we live in today, it's kind of like anything goes. You can really express yourself in any way that you want to. And I think that's really powerful. And I think that's also what's kept me in eyewear for so long as an accessory, is that it is so powerful because it's on your face. It's like the first thing that people see, right?
Yeah.
It really does have just this innate power that is fascinating to me, that I've come to appreciate over the years, even though, like I said, I was never really into wearing frames all that much, but I was appreciating them. But now it's really grown into this almost like mythical thing where eyewear can really define you.
It's very memorable for some people.
Yeah.
Well, and it can change your personality.
Yeah.
From
Yeah,
and it
it's
can
like
also
putting
act
on
as
a
a mask
wig
a
or
little
something.
bit.
I mean,
That's
it really-
I love that part.
right, when you don't want to have your eyes seen and you just
going
don't want
into a
to.
store with sunglasses on, where I can
Yes,
just walk around.
It's a way to kind of use your power and your self-expression more so than like shoes. Shoes are super important, but you don't always see that first because they're on your feet.
Yeah.
So anyway, Aperçu, the goal is, and we're really excited because we're working on moving into optical and prescription later this year. So not only will we have sun styles, but you'll be able to get any style, as you were saying.
Yeah.
Whether it's a sun style or not, in a regular prescription or a sun prescription, which is also exciting, or as a regular sunglass. So just that versatility, I think people want, to be able to have that versatility, to be able to, if they love this certain silhouette, they can have it sun and optical if they want. So
Has there been a learning curve with have you done the optical portion before? Do you
I
feel like
had
there's like a
not.
new side of this in terms of figuring stuff out?
Oh yeah, it's been, it adds just infinite levels of complexity to a certain extent, and I was never involved with the lab side of things when I was at Classic Specs, but I think we're getting there. And it's been actually really interesting to learn how lenses are cut. They
Polished.
They just sent me these prescription sun blanks, and they're these beautiful thick pieces of CR39.
Which is what?
It's a plastic that is got the best optical acuity, similar to mineral glass lenses, but it's lower weight and
So it's not as
scratch.
heavy.
Right, it's not as heavy as a mineral glass lens, but it gives you that beautiful clarity and acuity of color.
So most lenses are a plastic.
Yes.
Yes.
Polycarbonate or
Polycarbonate.
CR39.
Okay.
And CR39 is better quality.
Okay.
Then
And
it's
when
It's
were they
more scratch resistant and right? Is that,
Yes.
Yeah.
when were they glass?
And-
Like did that end in?
There's still glass lenses. You can still get them.
they're-
They're beautiful
Okay.
and they're lovely, but they're heavy.
They're heavy.
A little bit heavy on your face, but like Persol, you can get glass
Okay.
lenses. All over Peoples, you can get glass lenses. We did some glass lenses for Stephen Allen. They're more expensive, but they're beautiful. But CR39 is sort of the modern
It's like the stamp.
answer to not having glass lenses,
Yeah.
but still
It
having
solves the weight problem, but
still having the good
weight
quality.
problem is for me.
it is because
for,
at the end of the day, you're like,
Well, it
well,
starts
for
to
what we
hurt
do,
your
we're always
nose.
looking down or we're at a computer.
It's a functional object.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
what, also that space where function and fashion come together. And it's such a small space too, and it's on your face. So it is really powerful. And I think, I hope that we can create some really beautiful eyewear.
So you've been with him for how long now?
Aperçu,
Yeah.
it's been almost 7 years. We've been building the brand. And again, building a brand is not easy. It's been a big learning curve on so many different levels, but it's also been an opportunity that I can't even believe, came my way.
Right. Or just to understand how that works. That
Well, and the business side of things. Also, that was something I was never part of before.
right. Which was interesting to me because I was kind of starting my own business at the same time you were doing this. So it's been interesting to watch this for you and us being, as people who started in grad school together, kind of ending up in a similar place after a very different journey.
Yeah,
It's kind of
very
been
different.
interesting.
We've just had this side-by-side
just
parallel
symbiotic.
life, Marcy.
But my
really
question
cool.
for you is, I know we talk about this all the time, and I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
But we talked a little bit about returning to teaching potentially, and maybe the hopes of working on some of your stuff again. What are your thoughts on those things?
Those are two dreams that are in the back of my mind. I always have so many things that I want to be making, and I will say that Aperçu has not given me a lot of time. Also, I have a child who's now 14 years old, so that was a project in itself that is ongoing. Needless to say,
the project of motherhood.
the project that is takes up a lot of time. So, but I will say I am working on some things in the background, and the teaching piece. I think, it's always been part of me. You never feel as fulfilled as you do when you finish sort of teaching a class or when you have a student, that you're
Get it.
helping.
Yeah.
Or that you're helping them achieve something, and then they build this beautiful handbag and they're so proud of it, and you help them get there. It's just this amazing feeling. So I know that I need to get back to teaching in some way in the
Those
future.
skills.
Yeah. So one of the questions we like to ask everybody at the end is, what's the best advice that you ever received?
Mm-hmm.
And then in turn, what advice would you give to somebody else?
Okay.
And
So,
if you combo it, that's fine too.
yeah. Oh, I didn't think about the second part, but I have 2 pieces of advice.
Okay.
That's fine.
That I did receive that I thought were very different, but I think they actually work together. And one was when I first started in eyewear at B. Robinson. And it sounds kind of harsh, but my boss at the time, and this was in the context of sort of coming into a position that had already been there. Like I said, there was a designer there before, and I came in to this already established company, right? And had to really prove myself to everyone at the company, because they were like, who are you? Why are you here? And you don't have eyewear experience, And he said to me, you need to like grow a thicker skin, was what he said. And, I took that home and I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, just really digging into that sort of confidence inside that I, for whatever reason, had to really gain over time. Like, it wasn't there to begin with. I had to kind of figure out that I wanted to go to art school and that this is what I wanted to do. And I never felt like, that I was really validated or had enough skills to really, be doing, be the design director for Kata, right?
That insecurity and fear, right?
You had to just jump in.
Yeah.
And I think even to this day, I still have those thoughts about my own work. Like, oh, is this the right choice? Is this, even though I feel very confident about my design choices, you have to, get people on board with you, even if they don't agree. You have to be able to explain and really back up these choices that you're making. And to do so, you have to feel really confident about it, right? To make sure the whole team can get on board with what you're proposing.
Yeah.
So that was just a really hard learning curve to kind of put my emotional side, put my emotional self to the side, I guess I should say, and just be, in my mind, 100% professional about it and not take it personally, and just keep going and keep pitching what you believed in until, you came to whatever solution you were going to come to. So that was the sort of thick skin piece. And then the other advice was really from the startup world, and it was literally something, I don't know who came up with it, but it was just, done is better than perfect. And
that's a
the
good lesson.
founder actually put it up on the wall, and we were all laughing about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, please, this is ridiculous. But
because some of us put ourselves to a standard that you do have to say, you know what, that this is good enough for right now.
But I think that was, we always talk about this, where we used to work, that was the whole thing. It was this thing was going into print and it wasn't unprintable.
You had real deadlines.
You had this thing, and I feel like I had to unlearn a lot of that, because it can be almost paralysis.
Yeah.
If you
Right.
can't,
Yeah.
if you can't decide, I'm going to have to put this out and I'm going to work on it, and it can get better from here, but it has to get out.
Well, to have
first.
that confidence that what you're putting out, even though maybe you didn't have all the time that you wanted to work on it, that you feel confident with it because it's done. It's not perfect, but it's done. And letting myself, especially now in my career, and just make mistakes. Okay, you're going to finish things, and not every frame is going to be a bestseller, and not every partner is going to be the perfect partner.
But you got to keep going.
You just have to keep going and keep testing and testing. That's something that the startup world really brought to the table, is the idea of testing things. Just keep trying things. Be smart about it and be, deliberate with your tests and be, within reason. But you just can't put that much weight on any single thing on any given day.
Yeah.
Is sort of what I'm trying to get at.
Well, it's also for all creatives, it's a very personal thing when you put something out there, and you have to accept that not everyone's going to be into
Exactly.
it.
You gotta
people
separate
have
yourself
different tastes.
just enough.
Yeah, exactly. But the focus, the focus is, remember the people who loved it as opposed to the people who don't. But that's a really hard thing to do because, as perfectionists, I am.
Of course.
It's in the back of my head, why did they like it?
Right. And or promoting, whether it's your own business, Marcy, or even with Aperçu, now I'm also a marketer, right?
Yeah.
Learning the whole marketing piece and promoting something when you're so close to it, and you need to be able to separate and try to kind of see it through someone else's eyes, and not take it personally.
Yeah.
When the ad doesn't work, when the style doesn't sell, when things don't go right, So that's been a really big, and it's kind of, I think they go together. It's like, just get it out there. Done's better than perfect. And have a thick skin because not everything's going to work.
I love
okay.
that
I
one.
think that's actually a great place to end.
It's a great line to say, look at it through someone else's eyes.
Right.
For this particular episode.
Right. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and do what's inspiring us this week. So Mel, what's inspiring you this week?
Okay. This week, I don't do a lot of inspiration that I find on social media, but on occasion, there are the accounts that I love. And I don't know how to pronounce his name. I've been following him for a while now. And his name is Hans Lore. I'm sorry I'm butchering this if he ever listens to this, but he has a TikTok and an Instagram account. And what I love about him is his mantra is just make your space more interesting. It's not a judgment call. He just says, he evokes these ideas like, take a look at these 3 pictures. It's so calming. It's almost like ASMR voice. And he seems like just a regular nice guy. And he does projects, I think, in New York. And he'll say, take a look at these 3 pictures. What's evocative about these things is the lighting. Notice how the lighting is low. And it's just a really practical advice for someone who is decorating, as opposed to that this is the trend. And you either do it or you don't. You're going to miss out, and it's never pressure. It's never a pressure of advice. It's always a really nice, just evaluate your space, and I love it. And I'm going to put it on the website.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and you?
Me? Well, mine is kind of a skill. It's like coming back to is something I used to do all the time, using Google Image to find things.
Oh.
Which I never. I don't know. I
Love
feel like
it.
if I'm Captain Obvious with this one, but like I find I'm working on a project for my house, for my door, and there's certain door hardware that I can find images of, but then I can't find where to buy it. So I've been like screenshotting parts of them, putting them up back into Google Image, and it spits out anywhere that image, anything that's close to it.
Yeah.
So I've been able to find like the model numbers for hardware for doorknobs and things like that, and it's been really useful. And it's something I used to do when I was working at editorial to find things, but
You did it back then?
Oh, I used to do it. I mean, at least like 8 years ago,
Okay.
or 10 years ago. Yeah.
I discovered it when I was propping, and someone said take a thing, and then all of a sudden, all versions of it
Yeah.
from all these websites sort of come up,
Well,
and I teach people a lot.
It's a good cheat if you want to find the cheapest thing.
Oh, okay.
Because you can if you put a picture of it in,
Yeah.
and then it'll spit out all the thing. And if you click for shopping under Google, then it'll show you all the different price points of what it is. So you can find things in different places.
And
So,
it'll throw in vintage as well. It'll throw in like what's on Etsy, what's on
Yeah.
what's new, what's old, and I think it's very valuable.
That's brilliant.
so yeah, so came back to that. How about you, Kristen?
I have a little bit of an odd inspiration, but it's from our recent travels.
Okay.
We went out west, back to Arizona,
Back to your roots.
back to the roots, and we got the national parks card. It's called America the Beautiful card, so that you can visit all the national parks for free. I think it's only in a 2-year span, so I don't think we're going to make it to all 63.
It's like a pass,
national
like a park
parks.
pass.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
park pass called America the Beautiful, and for me and my family, it's just been really special. We went to Saguaro National Park, Death Valley, and Joshua Tree for the first time. I'd never been to Joshua Tree
Oh, no.
before.
It's so crazy.
And it
It's
right?
was
crazy.
way cooler than I've ever expected, and just really getting back to nature and trying to, see the beauty of our country
Yeah.
during these crazy times.
Yeah.
It's been really important. And then the other thing that I've been really into is, and I didn't know who he was until I discovered this podcast, and his name is David Whyte, Whyte. He's a poet from the UK, and he has a series, it's called, and I wrote it down, Constellations, the Solace, Nourishment, and Underlying Meaning of Everyday Words. And it's really beautiful to listen to him because he has, I think it's also written, but you can get it as a podcast, and he has a beautiful speaking voice, and he gives you his sort of poetic definition of different words.
Of everyday word,
Just
of
all
the
different
things
words,
that
like,
yeah.
friendship,
Okay.
for example, is one of them. It's really, really insightful and meditative, and it's been giving me inspiration every single day, lately.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nice.
Wanted to share that one.
Thank you. Kristen, thank you so much for doing this.
Yes,
we
thank
really
you.
enjoyed talking to you
guys.
today.
It was so fun.
I learned a lot.
Thank you.
And I need to ask you what my face shape is. So
we can talk after.
thank you.
We've got a lot of great frames for you.
If you'd like to explore more of Kristen's work, be sure to check out the show notes and visit our website, alifecreativepod.com, for additional information. And as always, thank you for tuning in to A Life Creative. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. And please share it with a fellow creative. We'll see you in the next episode.
Our producer is Chris Kangas. Our theme music was composed by Pierce McIntyre. And a special thanks to all the amazing people at East 10th House Studio.